So I would love to just welcome everyone and remind you a few notes that, my dear, you have 10 minutes of presentation, if I'm not mistaken, yes, and 5 minutes of Q&A. Please bear in mind to manage your time, and we are all ready as soon as you are ready too. You're
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
welcome.
Assalamualaikum
Good
warahmatullahi
luck.
wabarakatuh. And a very good evening. Yeah, thank you, Doctor. All right, my name is Memianti Abdul Rahim, and our team, Nur Yasmin Sofia, Abdul Rauf, and Sri Hadining Singh from Indonesia. Yeah, I'm from Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Study, Universiti Teknologi MARA. Our research is entitled The Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on Business Among Resort Entrepreneurs. So we move to the next slide on the introductions, yeah, or the background of the study. As everybody aware that tourism industry is the most affected sector, yeah, during the pandemic COVID-19, as the government has imposed on the restriction on the control movement order, and even it has been studied by the other researchers says that the tourism industry has been really have a very sharp decline in the economic growth in terms of economic growth. So this is the reason why we came into the idea of having this particular study to identify the current view on business issues and approaches adopted by the resort owner, yeah, during COVID-19 pandemic to sustain their business. So sorry. Right, so this some of the literature review to back up our study means that as everybody aware that COVID-19 begin in December 2019, and of course it jeopardizing all the economic growth in terms of industry in terms of tourism industry, and even it has been discussed by the American Hotel and Lodging Association and even in Malaysia itself, yeah, and due to the travel ban, movement control order and everything by the government, and due to taking care of the health of our society. Then this is our methodology. Yeah, we are using interview via the focus group discussions. Yeah, it is qualitative data analysis later on being used, and this is considered 7 resort owners in Pulau Pangkor Perak in Malaysia. And of course, before the process of interview in the FGD, we have the consent, and we follow everything due to this standard operating procedure, because at that particular time is actually a gap between pandemic to the endemic. Yeah, so meaning that we be able to went to the Pangkor and to have this target group of 7 business owner. And this is actually the profile of the business owner, ranging from 20 years old up to 60 years old, yeah, and majority of them Malay, and the highest working experience actually in owning or in operating the businesses, they are having more than 5 years experience. Okay, we go directly to the qualitative analysis, or talking about what are the questions being imposed to our respondent or informant based on 2 segments. Number 1 is we would like to see how they perceive the COVID-19 pandemic impacted their business. That's why we have 6 questions. For example, here I have to read the question because in order for us to understand the finding, yeah. So is the existence of your business resort threatened by the COVID-19 pandemic? If yes, then they have to deliberate. Did you have to lay off staff due to the COVID-19 pandemic? If yes, please state the number of employees that they have to lay out. And then do you have a major problem in business due to COVID-19 pandemic? If yes, then we provoke them to say what are the problem, what is the major problem, and they're willing to share actually. And then question number 4, have you started changing your plan or develop alternative plan? And then they would, yeah, of course they're able to share, yeah, their business strategy or new way of doing things. And 5th question, do you expand your business to other type of business? And if yes, can it help you to earn a living? And the last question on the first perspective, will the COVID-19 pandemic have any positive impact on your business result in the long term? So we also would like their their forecasted thinking of their business in the future, and if yes, what is the positive effect? So the second perspective that we want to have their response is on the what are their current view and approaches that they adopt to run their business. Yeah, for example, do you get apply for government or non-government organization assistance when facing a crisis? We did asking them on either the assistance in terms of monetary or non-monetary value, and there are a lot of questions to provoke them to say something on the scenario setting. It's very sad actually, the experience. Okay, so question number 2 is the government assistance you have received sufficient in terms of the monetary value. Is there any other form of assistance? So that is the type of questions. And question number 3, what self-strength? Yeah, because we know that they are the result honor. So we would like to know what is actually the very strong inner factor that they still in the business, because at that particular time that while we are collecting this data, they are in the process of run the business. Yeah, so what self-strength that you possess during this crisis? We'd like to see how they still manage the business, stop for almost 2 years, and then begin back the business. Yeah, and then we ask them to share their strategy. So fourth question, what are the shortcomings in your preparation for the crisis? Okay, that is strategy. And the last one, how do you see the current state of your business at present, in the future, positive outlook, need guidance? So those things being asked to our informant in a group. Yeah. So this is the interview transcription. Yeah, the finding from the interview. I will not read all, but this is the thing that we already put things in a very simplest way, and we would like to highlight in a very important, vital, pivotal things that when talking about entrepreneurs and COVID-19. Yeah, they say the business has hugely affected during the COVID-19 pandemic, and surprisingly, they do not even lay off their employees. Even they still hire them, but they cut off their salary. But they do another things in the business, such as do sell of foods, perhaps by other way. So but their concern is then on the huge cost of the maintenance and financial loan, because even though the business has to close, but they have to still to pay the loan that they have already in the pipeline. So the other thing is that at that particular time they change to other business, such as selling on food and beverage, and even do wiring for the houses. So that is the things. And when talking about the current strategy, or what they have changed from the previous one to the new normal, and then this is that of course their comment is that the government assistance is insufficient, or they have to go on whatever money that they have. And even when we listen to their feedback on the inner strength, we are so impressed, because they said that this is our business. No matter how, we have to bear with whatever problem, but we have to maintain it till now. And alhamdulillah, I believe they can smile now. But during the 1 year, almost to 2 years, something like they are just bear with all the expenses to maintain the results. And what has been given a very positive feedback, then they're aware that very important to have a provision of contingency money for saving, for emergency, like in the case of pandemic, because Malaysian is not like other countries. The other country perhaps already be ready with the natural disaster, but Malaysians is like some sort like, it is something like a very few first time in the history, especially for the area those not dangerous. So in our conclusion as a team, as a researchers, of course, when talking about COVID-19 pandemic, business in Malaysia, resort business owner in Malaysia need new business strategies, and even they have to provide provision for contingency in terms of saving, and also in terms of emergency fund. And they have to upgrade the knowledge and skills, especially in facing those of course, in a business we have all those we call as the ups and down one. Then they have to ensure that the owner and the staff ample with the adequate knowledge, skill, and competency. And of course, we would like to highlight on the, from the government perspective, they need more assistance, and perhaps this can be highlighted to the policymaker on their roles in helping the society, especially on the small business result honor. That's it. Thank you so much, Dr. Sharona and others. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. I'll have to admit that before having you presenting your work, I was a little bit confused with your presentation slides, but I'll have to say that I really enjoyed your oral presentation. Because everything was fine, and then the information that you added, I would love to ask whether if you could maybe in future add it to your slides as well. So first, before I want to ask you a few questions, I want to know whether anyone from the floor wanna have any question there. Any of friends there? All right, it seems that I have to start with my own question, if you're fine with that.
Yeah,
some of them are questions, some of them are comments. And as I told you, I appreciate your oral presentation, but I just want to have a better view on your whole research. You have done a good job. Regarding background of the study, so I'm quite familiar with Malaysia, but can you imagine one of the audience, they have lack of information regarding tourism in Malaysia. So in background of study, you could put a little bit more information. I could see that you have even mentioned regarding how many people has been jobless in USA, but we didn't have this information regarding Malaysia. So that was very helpful. If we could add up some information, which I'm 100% sure you have done in your research and you have it already, but it was missing in the slide. To have a little bit more information. How many resources do we have? How many people were working before? How many people are getting jobless now, and so on. So this is the first comment that I wanted to ask you to add up into your slide for any presentation. In your topic, you have mentioned very open the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on business among research entrepreneurs, which I guess it's specifically about Malaysia. But when it came to your scope of the study, I could see that the 7 resort owners that you have interviewed are mostly from Pulau Pangkor and Perak, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I need to have a little bit of explanation, because we know that when we talk about tourism in Malaysia, KL, Langkawi, Redang, all these hotspots comes to our mind. So any reason that you did put this Pulau, Pangkor and Perak only? So any reason why you have picked these 7 owners? We have to know what was the point of selecting this reason.
Because actually,
was that by accident or that was more convenient to you?
Yeah, because actually we have a project in Pulau Pangkor as we call as a university for society, and also we are having a knowledge transfer program in Pulau Pangkor. So we did simultaneously with the research. So we take into consideration.
That was more convenient for you.
Yeah, and actually it's a very small grant. A very small grant, and perhaps if in the future we have a huge amount of grant, it can be mapped out to the other state in Malaysia. That it is not a problem, but due to the amount of the grants, that is actually the only reason. That's why I didn't put a resort entrepreneurs in Malaysia. It could be like resort entrepreneurs only in Pulau Pangkor.
The topic.
Thank you,
so that came into my mind, that why only these two states.
Thank you so much.
That could be a little bit more helpful, having some images of this resource without naming which owner gave any answer. And then I've noticed that profile of the interview that you have done. We have one Malay interview which got non-business experience, and it was one of your research owners, right?
Yeah, but perhaps because at that particular time, it's some sort like 1 hour the business owner came, and then it been replaced by the other sales marketing officer. So perhaps during the demographic, the sales marketing officer is a new one. So that is perhaps will be the limitation of the respondent.
Yeah, because I was thinking that you needed to interview with people that having experience and they are experts that they can help you more. And then not only the resort owners, maybe some of the government sectors could help you because you have mentioned the support of government. So maybe they could have a little bit of help. And the question number 6, EC6, will the COVID-19 pandemic have any positive impact on your business resort in the long term?
Yeah.
And that was quite surprising to me. The answer is the positive impact is the government assistance. So can I have a little bit more interpretation and explanation from you regarding these findings?
Yeah, because in
It's a little bit
Malaysia,
confusing.
I believe the deliberation is not enough, because once the government has already instructed business to close down due to the lockdown, the government already gives some clearance in terms of 3 months hold on in terms of loan payment. So means that business resort owner become very easy in terms of having like 3 months they do not have to pay their loan. So that is in terms of facility in terms of that, but in terms of monetary, it's only a very small amount, which is they thinking of like having larger than that particular amount due to the length or the long period of the pandemic. Yeah, that is the reason only. The positive
Yeah.
one is because of the relief that they feel of having do not have to pay the loan for 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not very how to say that. It's not very proper to say that the corona, the
Positive.
pandemic helped. It was very positive because we got loan by the
Okay,
government.
understand. All right.
Yeah, maybe it should be a little bit revised.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
I have no more comment and question, only regarding your graphic of your slide. I mean,
Okay.
your presentation. I hope in future it can be as interesting as your oral presentation.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome. So any question?
No.
Okay, so I thank you, and then I will to have your future studies
Yeah, thank you so much,
regarding
Dr. Sharona.
tourism in Malaysia.
You actually give me
You're welcome.
a lot of idea to proceed. Yeah, it could become the futurist will be a larger respondent. Yeah, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the larger spot. Inshallah, you're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, so can we have our next presenter, please? Graduate the dilemma to be or not to be chef, Mr. Amir bin Mansour.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but I cannot see you.
Yeah. I tried to change the setting. I don't know how.
All right. So take your time.
All right. All right.
All right. Now we have you back.
Okay. Okay, let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, can you see the slides?
Yes, I can see your slide, but I mean, I just want to remind you, please introduce yourself and your co-authors. If you have any international co-authors, please inform whether they are co-presenting or not. And I will remind you that you have 10 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for Q&A. So good luck, and we are ready to hear from you.
All right. Thank you, and good evening to Chair Dr. Sharona, and good evening to all the presenters. Okay, I'm Amir from the Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, UiTM, Terengganu. All right. So I have 3 co-authors with me, Dr. Nohaya Hanum, Nur Amanina, and one from Indonesia, Dr. Sari Langgogani, but I'm the one who will be presenting today. All right. I'm will presenting about the my Malaysia is about the graduate's dilemma, whether they want to be chef or not to be a chef. Okay, there's a lot of okay. For my research, okay, there's actually a lot of college and university that offers culinary program in Malaysia. Okay, this is a few of the example of college and universities that offers culinary program. But okay, the chef in Malaysia mostly is from the overseas. Okay, lot of actually they has 83 higher learning institution according to Malaysian quality requirement. Okay, and then even though they have a lot of high program offered, so it means that they have a lot of graduates in culinary program. But despite the highest number from the culinary offered, the insufficient number of graduates in the industry give a worrying sign that the industry will continue to face the labor shortage in the hospitality industry, including chef, of course. Okay, it appears that culinary graduates don't reluctant to be a chef. All right. That's the problem. Okay, why don't they want to be a chef? Okay, so that's the problem. So the factors that influence them or discourage the culinary graduates from pursuing their career in the hospital industry need to be explored. That's why I do the research with my co-authors. Okay. Okay, the objective is to provide in-depth understanding of the factors that are important in culinary graduates' career decision, and then to find a way to reduce the country's dependency on foreign worker and relatively eliminate problems caused by the foreign worker. Okay, the problem is not the main main item that we research on, but they do have create a little bit of problem. All right. Okay. For this research, we use qualitative investigation and conducted using inductive approach, whereby we make and we create a theory or you can say a solution using what we observe. Okay, the study used cross-sectional study where investigation were only made at a single point in time. Okay, the population is only 12 and six of it is a chef and 6 of it is non-chef. Okay, the area of the study is in Klang Valley only. We chose Klang Valley because this is the highest number of hotel industry in Malaysia. Okay, and then we use non-probability sampling method, particularly judgment sampling and snowball sampling. This study interviews the respondent using semi-structured question, and then the question cover both factors, which is motivational and psychological factor. Okay, from the study we find, okay, this is demographic of the respondents. Okay, from the study we find that we found that 2 main motivational factor and 2 main psychological factor, which is I'm sorry, which affected them whether they want to choose to be a chef or not. Okay, for motivational factor, there has 2 main, which is workplace environment, including condition, the safety, and then the nature of work. Okay, which is all we know that chef has long working hours. They have to work shift, and then the salary and wages that is not really competitive in Malaysia. Okay, then for psychological factor, the first thing that we find is their passion and interest give factor influence. Okay, influence them to be a chef. And then the next one is their external influence. Okay, which is from the study we found that the most important external influence that influence them is family and friends and the media. Okay, then for there is a moderating factor that influence them for both motivational and psychological, which is gender. All right. Okay. So for the motivational good relationship at workplace can boost employees' motivation to stay in the industry. And then in Malaysia, the starting salary as a chef is relatively low. Okay, compared to other place that around. I'm not saying Australasia, but maybe in Europe or in North America. Okay. For the psychological, passion and interest are very important in determining the direction of graduate's career. Okay, then the family members are most influential when it comes to graduate career choice. Okay, for the moderating sector, culture and stereotypes dissuades women from entering certain occupation or profession. Okay, and then the marriage and motherhood also affects graduate career decision. Okay. Okay, from the result that we found, we create a conceptual framework which is independent variable, which is motivational and psychological, and then moderate by the demographic, which is in this case is gender, in terms of they want to be a chef or not to be a chef. All right. So lastly, what will this research can do? Okay, for they have two implication, which is the theoretical and practical. Okay, they can provide data for future study, and then they can provide in-depth understanding that focus on culinary graduates alone, because there's not much study that focus on culinary graduate. Yes, they do have hospitality industry industry, but not focus on culinary graduates. Okay, then for the practical implication, the data can be revised and improvised by the industry. Maybe they will know what the most thing that influence them, and maybe they can adjust their policy to make it more interesting for the culinary graduates to be a chef in the hospitality industry. All right. Okay, that's all from me. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. This is my first time. All right, thank you.
If you can hear me now, Mishkis, I just wanted to check with you a few things. When it comes to your research background and introduction, you mentioned how many universities do we have that they offer these subjects, but we shouldn't forget that you're talking specifically about the students, right? That they graduate.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Me as a chair, I need to know how many students annually graduate in this field. So this is something which is missing. Please bear in mind that in future you have to make it very clear during your presentation. This is one, and then this another information written here in introduction. You said that
your voice is lost again.
Can you hear me now?
Really slow.
Are you sure? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. It's
all right. Okay. So you have said that force hotels to hire foreign workers. Who forces hotels to hire foreign workers, Mrs.?
No, I mean the hotels don't have a choice because they don't have worker for them, so they had to hire foreign workers.
All right. So, is it clear?
Yeah.
All right. So I'll change the mark. Academic writing, a little bit confusing when you write down the sentence say that force hotels to hire foreign workers. What does it force? You can say that the situation force hotels. And then you mentioned numbers of foreign workers in Malaysia 2020 by country of origin, right? So, but you didn't make it very clear for us how many of these workers are there in the same field of your research. Maybe they are for construction, maybe they are for oil and gas,
Oh yeah, I did put it in the paper, but no, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, because it's a little bit confusing. It's very general, and then no one can judge based on it. So the objective, so you said that provide in-depth, I understand, but when it comes to your problem identification, problem statement, you said that culinary graduates are reluctant. So that it's a little bit like offensive. While writing this kind of word, you have to be very careful. You have to have some sources to support your statement. So do you have any supportive document from the government sectors or from the university? Anything that can support why? Is that the real reason? Because it doesn't seem to me very academic and professional reason saying that graduates are reluctant to work in the industry.
Just based on the numbers. No, just based on the numbers.
Yeah,
whereby
based on the numbers, they might have different reasons, but say that they're reluctant. So who said that? So when you're doing a research, the first step is to find a problem, right? We find a problem and we try to solve this issue. So firstly, when you find this problem, so we have to have backup references to support your statement, right?
Yeah.
This is one of the matter that I wanted to tell you. So, and then when you talk about this background, still I need more information saying that how many job vacancies or job positions do we have in Malaysia? And then how many local are taking it? How many students? We need data. Your research, however, the graphic was nice. We had lack of information and static. All right. So we need references, more references, and on. And then, so the non-chef that you interviewed with them. So at the page that I have, but you didn't present, you did explain that half of the non-chef are the former chef. But when you do not have this slide, so you're basically saying that half of the interview that you have done was with non-chef, and then what do you mean by non-chef? Students that they are not chef?
They are culinary graduates that decide that they don't want to be a chef.
All right, so please be very careful with how you write this information because it gets confusing. Non-chef, what do you mean by non-chef? Did you ask like fashion students? So it should be very clear.
All of
is it like
culinary is culinary graduates. I'm sorry about it.
No, it's fine. So just like bear in mind. And then so when you mention gender is your moderation, yeah, right? Moderating factors, right? So I couldn't see much of your findings in related to this issue.
Actually,
this is why I'm saying that we need a little bit more information, more numbers from you when you're presenting.
I do have the but I just maybe it's my fault that I don't put it that. There has a few reasons that why I said that gender is one of moderating, because from my research there has stated that it is part of why they don't want to be a chef, because of the their family. Okay, their family, maybe they has as wife. Yes, as a daughter. Okay, their family would not want them to be working late at night. Okay, their husband don't want them to be in a place where most of the worker is male.
Could you hear yourself just now? You said that maybe when you wanted to answer me, you said that maybe. When you say maybe, that means you are putting your own
actually, sorry, sir. Actually, this is their own word. I'm sorry.
There is no maybe. You have to coming up saying that according to the questionnaire, we have found out that culture plays an important role because families stated that let's say 70%, they were disagree having their daughter working as a chef. So I know that you have done you as much as you could do for this research, but when it comes to presenting, you have 10 to 15 minutes to present, and it's how to say that I don't want you to belittle your research. I know that you have all this information. I know that you have all these numbers and references, but when you do a presentation, I didn't receive all your research. I didn't read your paper, so I need to have it on your slides.
All right. Understood.
Okay, so I will think your slide to be more informative.
All right. All right. I really appreciate what you said to me. I'm really grateful that all of these comments, and it will make me better in future, inshallah. Thank you.
Sure, definitely, inshallah. So if there's no more question, we can proceed with our next presenter, please.
Thank you.
Good luck, Amin. So the next topic shall be the evaluation of the cost implication of public park maintenance. Presenting by Dr. Zulkifli Haji Ayub. Do we have our next presenter?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and the participant. So my name is Zulkifli bin Haji Ayub. I'm from the program of Landscape Architecture, Universiti Teknologi MARA, Perak branch. And my second co-author is also from UiTM Perak, also from the same department, Dr. Surati Ahmad, and my international co-author is Dr. Ibrahim Abdullah Shinbara from the University of Masurata, Libya. Okay, the title of our research is the evaluation of the cost implication of public park maintenance. Yeah, so please bear in mind that this is a very short research grant. We have less than 3 weeks to complete this research. So this is very preliminary research. There will be second and third stage of the research. So my presentation is about the first stage. Yeah. Right. So the presentation outline is the first is the introduction. Moving on to the background of the study, aim and objective, literature review, research methodology, research finding, and finally the conclusion. All right. First, the introduction. First and foremost, let us try to understand what is landscape and what is landscape architecture. Most people tend to confuse between these two. So landscape are all the visible feature of any area of land, often considered in terms of their aesthetic appeal, whereby landscape architecture is the design of the environment, a combination of art and science. It is all about everything outside from the front door, both urban and rural, at the interference between people and natural system. This is the common application of definition by the Institute of Landscape Architects Malaysia, International Federation of Landscape Architects, and also the American Institute of Landscape Architects. So moving on to the next one is what is landscape maintenance? Okay, landscape maintenance, this is the core topic of the presentation, is the art keeping of landscape, healthy, clean, safe and attractive, especially in the parks and gardens. Landscape maintenance for parks and gardens are complicated and tedious, especially for larger areas with intricate design, site layout, which are very challenging to work on, and also the degree of formality, among others. So maintenance is very extensive, exclusive and expensive. Thus, it requires funding and also it requires a proper planning. So the research aim and objective. Research aim for this research is to evaluate the cost implication for Malaysian public park maintenance. And for this we have 3 objectives. The first one is to analyze the existing public park landscape maintenance practice in Malaysia. And number two is to analyze the cost implication on public park maintenance practice in Malaysia. And finally, to propose and recommend the sustainable and cost-effective public park maintenance practice in Malaysia. And now, the literature review. As for the literature review, we divide our literature review into 4 sections. The first one is policy, second one is benefit. So as for the policy, we look into the government policies and guidelines, especially the one gazetted by the National Landscape Department and also the Institute of Landscape Architects Malaysia. So the one that is core at the moment is to make Malaysian beautiful garden nations. Yeah, they have 3 strategies that we are looking into. The first one is driving the nations toward the high income economy, and number two, ensuring holistic and sustainable development, and number 3, focusing on the citizens' well-being. So, as for the policy number 1, we are trying to provide a conducive landscape environment with its own identity to attract local and foreign investment. And for number 2, trying to create landscape that is effective landscape planning, development and management. And number 3, to have the educate landscape spaces for recreation and social interaction. And the second part of the literature is covering on the urban parks and user satisfaction. Here, we look at the main contributions of urban parks and also urban gardens. Yeah, so the first contribution that we often find in our literature investigation and research is urban parks help to increase land value, and also it also provides comfort and well-being. And number 3, it provides quality of life and satisfaction. And number 4, safety and comfort. And finally, number 5, so it provides social and psychological health. Okay, the third stage of literature is covering on maintenance. Yeah, so landscape maintenance. First and foremost, we look at landscape maintenance, what it actually means, and the true definition of it. So we managed to find a lot of maintenance regarding landscape maintenance. Yeah, a lot of definitions regarding landscape maintenance, but the one that fitted perfectly into our research from the context point of view, from the scope point of view, is the one provided by some students, which is part of landscape management that involve the routine works according to daily or weekly operations in caring for green areas, gardens and parks, which includes all scheduled works such as site cleaning, grass cutting, weeding, pruning, fertilizing, pest control, and the likes. Yeah. So this is the one that we use throughout the research. Okay. The second part is the importance of landscape maintenance. What are the importance of landscape maintenance? So the first one is to preserve parks' initial planning to ensure its longevity and achieve its objective. Okay, and number 2, parks elements are evolving and changing. Thus, its beauty and ethics are well maintained and preserved. And number 3, the art and craft of landscape maintenance ensure a clean, healthy, safe, and attractive of a park, a garden, cemetery, institutional ground, and the likes. Yeah. So the fourth section is covering on urban park cost-effective maintenance. So this is the main issue. Throughout the research investment, we managed to find a lot of issues and arguments and complaints regarding the high cost in landscape maintenance, how it burdened the local authority and the government annually to come up with a huge fund to ensure that our parks and gardens are properly maintained, and ways to reduce its cost. So the first one, the current issue is current park maintenance standard operation procedure is ineffective, also intensive. So this is the main issue. And the second one is the limited budget triggered poor a decline in parks quality. Thus, the need for cost-effective maintenance research. Okay, as for research methodology, this research applied a mixed method approach. In mixed method research, there are ways and hybrid of mixing the methodology methodology. But the central study strand remains qualitative despite a questionnaires method using to generate and establish the urban park landscape maintenance checklist. And the methodological framework for this research is summarized in the figure as shown here. Yeah. Yeah, in the methodology as well, we used questionnaire involving academicians as well, who have practiced more than 15 years doing landscape maintenance and landscape design, so they know what they're doing. And the second part is the semi-structured interview, also involving experts in the field who are renowned as professional landscape architects in Malaysia. Okay, as for research finding, we divide our research finding into two. Okay. So expert validation on sustainable landscape maintenance. So from these questionnaires and expert validation, we managed to come up with 10 key criteria associated with sustainable landscape maintenance. And the table below indicate the 10 criteria, key criteria. Yeah. So all of these extracted main criteria for sustainable landscape maintenance checklist. All the main criteria selected were given 87 to 100%, and sub criteria 80 to 100% in percentage of a. So the first main criteria is plan strategically. So under which, under this main criteria, we have 12 sub criteria, which it's a bit detailed, so I did not list it in here. So it is all covered in the full paper. So the second criteria is fertilize organically. The third one, social and composting. And number 4 is water efficiency. Number 5, pruning and shearing. 6, pest and weed control. 7, sustainable hard material. 8, minimizing fuel consumption. 9, sustainable drainage system, or SUDS, which is very popular currently. And number 10, sustainable tools and equipment. So again, all the details of the sub-criteria can be found in the full paper. Okay, the second part of the research finding is semi-structured interview, focusing on effective landscape maintenance that links to cost implications. A critical component in park maintenance is also highlighted, together with the standard operational maintenance associated with cost reduction. Data gathered during semi-structured interviews with relevant professionals and experts in the field were coded and analyzed for the theme and key components and the software. So the table below indicate the 4 themes. Yeah, the first one is park without maintenance is waste. So we have key components: sustainable, sustaining design and function, upkeeping for health and safety, and on. And the second theme is the key component and systematic planning in park maintenance. So under which the key components are the landscape planning and design development phases, implementation phases, operational maintenance phases. And number 3, effective
Dr.
operational
I'm so
maintenance.
sorry to interrupt you, but your time is almost over.
Right.
We can have it a little bit shorter.
Okay, all right.
Just continue. So we try to make your Q&A shorter, but I mean, if it's possible, just like try to make it shorter as well.
All right. So the final one is, no, the third one is effective operational maintenance to cost efficiency. So getting a reliable maintenance contractor, this is very important. Detailed scope of work of landscape maintenance contract, this should be handled earlier during the design process. Knowing knowledge competency, this is the selection, involving the selection of contractors, those who are going to do the maintenance work. Recycling the landscape waste is common in Malaysia. We are promoting it extensively now. And E, consistency of landscape maintenance program. And F, the application of modern technology for machinery and landscape maintenance tool. And finally, technology versus cost efficiency. So efficiency of operation and minimize labor, prolonged maintenance contract. This is the fourth theme is what we are
promoting to the government and professional bodies to work on this. Okay, finally, the conclusion. Okay, during this short study, we have successfully first impart the best practice for effective urban park maintenance in line with cost-effective exercises. And number two, develop an innovative, sustainable landscape maintenance checklist to be utilized and benefited by landscape consultants, contractors, and urban parks managers, and among others. And number three, the checklist and methodologically, the checklist can methodically guide landscape producing viable landscape projects that are sustainable, maintenance friendly, and most importantly, cost efficient. So in conclusion, this study shows room for improvement in urban park standard maintenance operation procedure. The conventional practices were proven to be very ineffective and costly compared to the expert suggestion and finding from this research. And finally, the research has further paved future research direction, especially on recycling park waste, landscape waste management, and also sustainable landscape design with minimum maintenance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That was very informative. I really enjoyed your presentation. Anyone from the floor want to have any question from Dr. Ayub? I can see the audience. Is there any question there? Okay. So to make it very short, Ayub, I really appreciate your research. It was very proper one. I have learned from it and I'm thankful to you. But there are a few things that I wanted to check with you. Basically, you said that in objective number 2, you're doing public parks. Let me bring your slide number 2. So your objective is to analyze the cost implication on public park maintenance practice in Malaysia, right?
Yes.
Okay, as for my understanding, public parks are under government sector, and since I couldn't see any problem identification in your slides, I'm not sure. Maybe you can bring this point up and explain more a little bit about it. Are you sure that the government, they do not have enough information regarding this cost implication? Because as far as I know, the public sector regarding these public parks, they have their own research department and they do come up with annual cost implication. So was that necessary to do it again? How does your research contribute and help the government? I'm 100% agree with your objective number 3, which is coming with recommending a sustainable and cost-effective public parks maintenance way. But number 2, I guess the public sector, they have already taken care of it. Is there anything regarding problem identification or any reference that you have in your research, but I couldn't see in your slide that can help a little bit?
Yes. Prior to conducting this research, we've communicated and consulted major developers in Malaysia, such as MK Land, and few others, Assam Darby. Yeah, so they are all having the same problem because maintenance procedure is normally they follow the standard procedure from JKR or Public Works Department, and also following the standard guideline submitted by the Landscape Institute of the Institute of Landscape Architects Malaysia, and also National Landscape Department. So they like it or not, they have and at the same time we also consulted officers from government officials, handling this maintenance work. So the issues are from them, So we've been given a nominal grant and a short period of time to conduct a preliminary study to find out the issues and a general solution for the first stage. The second stage will we'll dive into details of how we can do in details to tackle the issue of excessive public funding on maintenance and also the cost implication in carrying out the standard operation procedure in doing maintenance work.
All right, thank you. And then one more question regarding your research methodology. When we do come up to your slide number 7, as far as I could see, the questionnaires have been distributed between 15 expert landscape designers, right?
Yes.
And then when it comes again to your semi-structured interview, you have done the same things, have an interview with landscape experts, right?
Okay, so we divide our experts into 2 categories. The first one, because we don't want to have this same expert involving in both because involved if they participated in both. So that's the reason why we divide them into two groups. Yeah, the first group covering the questionnaires.
Questionnaires.
Yeah, and the second group will cover on the semi-structured interview. But most of them are seniors in government sectors and also
and landscape
architect. Yes.
All right,
Yeah,
because according to your objectives, I was giving you this how to say, the recommendation to you that since you do have this third objective, working on sustainability, maybe you could interview and have some opinion from experts in this field of sustainability. Not only the landscapes could help, but sustainability as well.
Oh yeah, we've our expert covered quite a wide range of experts here. Actually, we do have urban designers, landscape architects, government officials, or those who are giving approvals, and developers, and also maintenance contractors.
Okay, so in this case, can I ask you to, for future, just add it into your slide because it will make it a little bit more clear regarding your scope of research, who you have interviewed, because it was a little bit like blur and confusing. What we have seen is only like experts, the word experts in landscape in your slides, but now that you explained, I could understand your point. Okay, I have no question, and thanks for your good presentation. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. So can we proceed with our next presenter, Dr. Amir? The existing physical activity assessment for overlapping. Right, Dr. Amir, if I'm not mistaken.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon.
My dear, please present, introduce yourself, your title, and your co-authors, if you have, especially if you have any international co-presenter.
Oh, okay. It's okay. Okay. And a very good afternoon. My name is Atika Amir from
yes, and then you have your 10 minutes
from UIT ABRA. Hello. Okay, and then my co-author is also from UIT ABRA, is a landscape architect, Roida Borhan, and accompanied with certified arborist landscape architect, Dr. Helmi Hamzah. and Dr. Okay, for today, I will present to you the research project titled the AcE Physical Attributes Assessment for Overlaying Composite Maps in Proposed Outdoor Student E-Center Project. So next, all right, this is my research outline. University students deserve a proper outdoor learning center to accelerate their academic. In order to design here, a detailed inventory and analysis need to be explored. So this research project is located in UiTM Perak. The project is under BPF, or what we call it as a Facility Management Unit, UiTM, and they are proposing outdoor student e-center project, and we are appointed as a consultant for this project. So as you can see here, the green box here is actually a research aim to propose outdoor space for teaching and learning environment, and which when we narrow down to research objective, number one is to produce the physical attribute layout by measuring the site conditions. Number two is to investigate the tree species and their condition in the site project. And number three is to produce a composite map for proposal of outdoor student e-center project. All these RO, all these research objective reflects with the purple and blue box here. So this is first method is a physical attribute survey, and then the support data is the outcome will be the physical attribute layout. This first method will answer the RO1 here. And the second method is plant identification and tree health condition assessment. And it will give the result for plant identifying and tree health conditions. This is to answer the RO2. And the final finding is a composite map for a proposal space for outdoor student e-center project to answer the third objective, to produce a composite map. So in conclusion and future work, I will explain or briefly explain about the tree performance status and a practical design solutions. Okay, next. There are two main categories related to this project, to this topic. One is tree knowledge map technique. On the tree part here, I give a 4 level. On the tree part here, there are two factors influence the tree performance, which is abiotic and biotic. So unhealthy tree is often related to abiotic as a primary stress factor. So for example, temperature or called a mineral deficiency or lack of watering. So this disease under biotic here is often a secondary factor attacking the weakened tree. So according to Lily, when we diagnose the tree, we follow the 6 step or process. Firstly, we identify the plant, look for pattern abnormality, examine the site, note the color, size and thickness of foliage, check trunk and branches, and lastly for roots. For the assessment methodology, we have 3 levels. But in this study, we only implement the limited and basic. So the limited is eyes-only inspection, and for level 2 basic is by using simple hand tools. So we didn't go for level 3 advanced. For the assessment for tree condition index, we have 4 levels to evaluate the tree. For low, moderate, and high and extreme, we simplify info level. So for tree status for good, moderate, poor, and very poor. So in this study, the overlay map technique is we identify into 2 related programs. Number 1 is tree program, which is we we cater it for biological attributes. And number 2 is circulation behavior program. We check for both physical and social attributes. So combining these two programs, tree program and circulation behavior program, we will the outcome is complete input data sets for analysis data before the development stage. Next. Okay. So in these 2 months observation was conducted in dataran usahawan. Approximately 2 months conducted in dataran usahawan UIT and Perak. And then we use the mixed method, quantitative and qualitative data sets. As you can see here, I managed to put A and B to answer the data collection techniques. So the A part is actually the surveyors. This is the picture of surveyors obtained topographic survey by using a theodolite. So this will be a physical attribute survey. Document the tree health condition assessment. So I will explain in detail later. And then this is to cater the cultural, physical, and biological attributes. So for tree program fall under biological attribute. For physical topographic survey and fall under cultural and physical attributes. Okay, next. This finding is actually two elements: topography, vegetation, hydrology, structure, and circulation. This is the topographic survey map that was produced by a licensed surveyor. So and we put it in AutoCAD. It's actually from the GPS, and then we transfer into AutoCAD to get the simple map. So next, this is research objective number 2, to investigate the tree species and their condition in the site project. So a total number of 59 trees was found in the site. From the 59 total numbers, we managed to identify the 7 species. So number 1 species is sweet Tania macrophylla, Bongama pinnata, Nemusubs elangi, Cinnamomum iners, Syzygium campanulatum, Michelia champaca, and Annona muricata. So this is the planting plan that we log into the AutoCAD. Next, sorry. Okay, we are still in the research objective number 2, which is here to investigate the tree species. So the 7 species what we see here is this is for the health profile of trees. So for the health profile of trees, most of the species have a high vigor and normal here, except for Bongama pinnata. So Bongama pinnata, or what we call it as Mampari trees, these have a problematic structure on the side. So vigor is only 2 out of 9 species, 32 of 9 numbers that have a high vigor, and foliage, two total numbers from the Bongama pinnata have a problem from chlorotic and necrotic disease. So what is chlorotic is actually a degradation of chlorophyll, and necrotic is actually a death or degradation of cells of plant tissue. So none of the have biotic factor. One of them have a problem from abiotic factor, which is Bongama pinnata. So this is the summary of all 7 species on site. And then the other one is health condition of trees. Bongama pinnata or Mampari have a problem from this one is abiotic factor, which is adjacent trees for sunlight and compact soil. It's actually the plant is not on site. So next. Okay, this is to answer the RO3 to produce a composite map for proposal of outdoor student e-center project. So if you can see here, this have three colors, green, blue, and yellow. So the green one is actually indicate a good condition of trees, 15 of trees, and then the blue is a moderate condition, and yellow have a bad condition. So this is actually a pengalaman pinyata or membaring trees. So this is the human behavior pattern on site observation. So this space is actually we can maintain the existing tree and applying best management practice in implementing the design. So this the blue and yellow is actually not suitable in the proposal design for this project has three fundamental precepts. Number one is design with nature, design with campus culture, and design a place for students to interact and recreational. Okay, the outcomes of this study will assist and extend the understanding of preparing outdoor learning center for university students. Trees has ecological, economic, and social benefits. Effect and have a good aesthetic value and give a spatial enclosure for outdoor classroom. And three also have a significant subject or prior for outdoor learning center. According to Mahira in 2017, there are 6 criteria for outdoor learning centers. Namely is flexibility and multiple use, comfort, movement, technology and ICT tools, aesthetic, and social relationships. But in this study, we limit only for and social relation. So this is our limits of study. Okay. So this is a composite map. This is also a composite map. So the blue text, this one is actually an area that needs to be considered when designing for future development. So all this one can be considered. Okay. And this is also the potential for core area space development for outdoor learning of the site. So for future recommendation, 3 locations of pengalaman pinata which have a moderate and poor conditions should be improvised the site area. So this one is 3 proposal for future recommendation and need to be for future recommendation, the trees need to be selected wisely so for the site suitability. So thank you. Thank you for your kind attention. So I will end up my presentation with a quote from John Sawhill, which is our society defined not only by what we create, but also by what we refuse to destroy. So thank you.
Hello.
Oh, yes.
Hello, Dr. Sharona.
Sorry, I didn't know what happened. I couldn't hear you anymore. I tried to exit an interview again to solve the issue, but now I can hear you. But I guess you have finished your presentation, right?
Yeah, I already finished my presentation. So, so do I need to back or how about?
So I still have my questions.
Do I need to present?
No. You don't need to present. But I've been to through slides, and then I have my questions here. Don't worry. But at first, I just want to check whether there is anyone from the audience who wants to ask you a question. Any of the audience, please. All right. So there are a few questions that I wanted to check with you to get a better view of what you have done. So your topic, it's a little bit, first of all, good job. It's a very good job. But I just wanted to check with you a few things. So you were saying that there exists a physical attributes assessment for overlaying composite maps in proposed outdoor student e-center projects, right? So the topic, the topic that you're talking about, outdoor campus for student, right?
Betul. Yes,
Right.
true.
Faham. Thing is but the thing is that your focus is not regarding the campus, any specific pavilion or anything for students, for them to gather there and get the classes, because you said that it's for outdoor students e-center project, right?
Yes,
So when you say that it's outdoor student center, so the topic is different, but the main body of your research was mostly regarding the trees, the landscape, I mean, the health of the tree and all these things on that specific location, site location, right? So I guess your research is good enough, is strong enough, but your topic misguided the audience, because once I read your topic, I was expecting you to coming up saying that there is a need for students to have outdoor center. Can you follow what I'm saying? So your topic, it's a little bit different than your research. This is the confusing point, because I was thinking that you're talking about, so there should be a proposed outdoor student center project, right? That you're talking about.
There is a proposed outdoor student center project. There is, but I'm focusing the tree because that is our expertise, and we want to focus on the tree part. But maybe the longer of title.
Yeah, the title made it a little bit like confusing. Otherwise, your research outline is clear, your objective is clear, but when it comes to the topic, I couldn't make it a proper match between the topic and the body of your research. So, and then the photo of existing proposed center. So you said that there is existing proposed center, right? So do you have any, I mean, other than these three pictures that you have, a little bit like more information? I know that you put the map, you put these trees, but it just like, your point of view was very focused on the tree and the vegetation, right?
It's a combination actually. So we put a tree. There's a cultural, biological, and physical. So two of the attributes. This one. I think this one should be. All right. This one for the data collection techniques, a physical attribute survey here. This is to produce the physical, the topographic survey, this one. This, the B is for the tree health condition assessment. So this is actually a combination, a tree.
And overlay map technique, right?
Physical survey, but the attribute survey, this one is very technical. So I didn't explain one by one. But this is the 5 elements that we managed to produce. Because this is we try to answer the RO, the objective only. So this one is to produce the physical attribute. So we using the theodolite to produce the.
All right. So I will give you a comment to you. Sorry, I think we have a little bit of like internet problem. So on page number 3, you say you have identified 2 related programs, 3 program, biological attributes and circulation behavior program, right? So what I found out from your explanation is that we have type of presentation that they provide lack of information for us, and there are some presentation like you that you have given too much of information which is unnecessary. Just now you mentioned that you just wanted to answer your objectives, so that's why you make it a little bit like confusing by putting extra information, because when you put extra information, I want to see it in your finding, but your focus is on only on your objectives, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that maybe the topic is too long, and it should be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, I think
And
I do
then
agree
when you are, yeah, it does come up, it's very informative, it does come up with lots of information, but as a panel I want to compare all the slides together and coming up to a findings and conclusion. So there are some information, let's say, as I told you on page number 3, which you haven't mentioned anything regarding them in your finding, because it's not related to your objective, but you put it extra. So maybe you have to minimize and make it very minimal, as far as it can only cover your own requirement.
Yeah. Through this,
Okay, but otherwise, don't worry, it was a good presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So you have, do you have any question or anything that you want to explain more?
And thank you so much, Sharona.
All right, so thank you, and then sorry again for any inconvenience happened by the internet that we had.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck, my dear. So next presentation.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, thank you to the organizer and chairman of the program today. My name is Dr. Rahmawati binti Muhammad Yusof. I am from Faculty of Law, UiTM Segamat Johor. This paper also written by Associate Prof. Dr. Nazrul Ahmad from Department of Quran Sunnah, International Islamic University Malaysia, and also Prof. Abdul Kudus from Western Norway University of Applied Science in Norway. Okay, my topic today
so
is...
My dear, just give me a
Yes.
second. Can you represent your international co-author, please? And
Okay,
bear in mind that your 10 minutes starts.
Okay, my international co-author is Prof. Abdul Kudus from Western Norway University of Applied Science in Norway. Okay. Can I
Okay, good
proceed?
luck.
Okay. My study entitled Women's Economic Empowerment and Protection Social Rights in Preventing Domestic Violence. Okay. For the introduction, according to COVID-19 Global Gender Response Tracker produced by UN Women and UNDP, it stated that most countries in the world are not doing enough to safeguard the rights of women from economic and social sides during COVID-19 pandemics. This can be proven due to increased number of women's unemployment and women as victim of domestic violence during pandemic COVID-19. Okay, so we now we move to the situation of women's economic empowerment in Malaysia. Okay, we can see from the statistic of women empowerment in selected categories Malaysia 2021 issued by the Department of Statistics Malaysia, which come out with Malaysia Gender Gap Index. This index compare men and women based on labor force participation, and this index found that women's labor force participation still remain low, which is at 55.3%, compared to men 80.3% in 2020. And then this make Malaysia ranking at number 104th out of 149 nations in the WEF Global Gender Gap report in 2020, which is four place lower than previous ranking, which is 100 in 2018. And Malaysia also Malaysia also lower than Singapore and Thailand. Therefore, increasing the number of women who can work in productive employment is a critical development aim of government of Malaysia. We can see where Malaysia government emphasize the importance of creating economic opportunities for women in 10 and 11 Malaysian plan, and also one of the most frequent message in the 11 Malaysian 12 Malaysian plan. And then the report breaking barriers toward better economic opportunities for women in Malaysia also conclude that actually Malaysia women have more education than men in workforce. That is not I said, that is from the report, okay. However, the primary barrier that prevent women from participate in the economy development in Malaysia is because housework, because the children, and so on. And then on the other hand, women's engagement in the informal sector is increased and now outnumbers men. However, for the senior management roles, only 24%. And then Malaysia also has released Women Empowerment Principle Activator, which provide provide framework instrument for business to become more woman centric. And then women empowerment also to provide better economic opportunity for women also is one of the main theme in budget speech of Malaysia. And then UNDP, which is United Nations Development Program, also has run project in Malaysia to help low income women entrepreneur, especially in Kelantan and Terengganu. This is the states in Malaysia. It also reported that due to men dominated of men in working atmosphere, women are not fairly treated. This can be see that although women show a good performance, a good improvement, but there is still discrimination due to promotion to higher ranking. Women worker must work harder and longer in duration of year duration in order to get a same advancement and same compensation compared to men. Therefore, Malaysia needs move forward to improve a right of women in the workplace. Some authors stated that introduce a policy is not enough because the main key is implementation. Without implementation, the policy remain ineffective. Therefore, some author suggest to pass some legislation to protect the right of women regarding the rights of women in economic sector. Therefore, in this matter, Malaysia should follow CEDAW, which is Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. Okay, now we move to protection of women's social rights toward domestic violence in Malaysia. Gender discrimination is prohibited under Article 8, subsection 2 of Federal Constitution. Malaysia also has passed special acts for domestic violence, which is Domestic Violence Act 1994. There is some error mistake here. This act provide some protective order, which are the first one is Emergency Protection Order, which is issued by Social Welfare Department, what we call in Malaysia Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat. And then the second one is Interim Protection Order, issued by Magistrate Court. And then when the person charged in court, later on the Magistrate Court will issue PO, which is a protection order. And then in Malaysia, there is also a Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development, which have released Garis Panduan Pengendalian Kes Keganasan Rumah Tangga in 2015, which explain and describe the responsibility of 9 government entities in order to deal with domestic violence cases. And then the right of women also has been embedded in the IFLA, which is Islamic Family Law Federal Territory Act 1984. And among the rights of women is right to get fair treatment and so on. And in the 6 and 7 Malaysian plan also has focused on strengthening the woman status in society. And Malaysia also has ratified a CEDAW, which is Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women in 1995. Before that, in 1976, the National Advisory Council for the Integration of Women in Development was formed. And also in 1983, the Secretariat for Women's Affairs, HAWA, also has been established. This team Ministry for Women Affairs was also established in 2001 to boost women's status in society. The ministry has 4 organizations, which include Department for Women Development, Malaysia Social Welfare Department, National Population and Family Development Board, and also Malaysian Social Institute. Apart from that, Women's Aid Organization also has provide domestic violence shelter since 1982. And then other method which has been practiced by Malaysia to combat deal with domestic violence case is all hospital from beginning 1996 required to establish one-stop crisis center to assist victim of domestic violence. And Islamic Religious Department also provide temporary shelters for Muslim victim. And then for non-Muslim, they have a social welfare department. Also, welfare department has their hotline number for public to assist them, which can be reached by public. Okay, next, women economic empowerment and protection of their social rights toward domestic violence based on Islamic law. Okay, in Islamic law, there is no differentiation.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah?
Please have in mind that you have only 1 minute left.
Okay. In Islamic law, there is no differentiate between men and women as both obligate to work. Women have freedom to choose their job, but there is some restriction as long as married woman do not deny her husband and her children right. Okay. Therefore, some recommendation deal with economic right of women in the economic side and toward deal with domestic violence. Malaysia must boost economic opportunities for women. This include expanding child care and elder care available. And then gender inequality in community also should also be addressed. To end domestic violence, society must value and respect women's rights and dignity. Therefore, government of Malaysia should recognize the importance of NGO. And then domestic violence shelter also need to be improved, need to be more fun. And then basic mental deal with trauma victim of domestic violence also should be taught to all police officer, and the procedure, the law, the garis panduan also must be familiar to every frontliner of domestic violence victim. Okay. So as a conclusion, we must end the domestic violence, and also we must uphold the right of women in economic sector, because woman is important element in our world, okay, in our life. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. Dear Rahmawati, right?
Yes.
All right. First of all, whatever I'm sharing with you is just to make your research and especially your presentation more stronger. No offense, but first of all, I have to say that your slide really needed to be revised, because I guess you have been given the slide template by the conference, and before listening to your presentation, I needed to go through your slide, and it was lack of many things, such as your research background. I needed to have some research background, which is missing in your slide. I needed to see your research methodology, which is not in your slides at all. So what was your preferred objective is not there. Your slides are far from what I expected in this conference. After that, I wanted to give you some suggestions, like using better quality images for your slides. Some of them has the copyrights watermark on them, and then it should be a little bit more proper in a way that you would put it for your presentation. So this is for the slide, which I guess it needs to be revised. And I'm 100% sure that you have been given the template. What we ask you is missing here. So, but talking.
Okay, go ahead.
So talking about the comments that we have, so in your title, we said women's economic empowerment and protection, social rights in preventing domestic violence. So it's quite strange that your first slide has been started by mentioning COVID-19 Global Gender Response Tracker. So your topic didn't have anything to do with domestic violence during COVID-19 or after COVID-19 or whatever. But your introduction suddenly starts by pointing period of COVID-19. So I just want to know, was that anything related to your topic which is missing in the title? Was that your focus on women's economic empowerment during COVID-19 or post-COVID situation? This is the first question that I want you to explain more.
Yes, because as I stated before, in 2020, the ranking number for women index for compared women and men participate in economic is decreased, which is before that Malaysia ranking in 100, but in 2020 ranking is 104. That is due to
So
COVID.
that
And
does
then
it mean that we need to, does it mean that we need to edit the title?
okay.
When you
So
say that
I must
women's
put
economic empowerment or effect of COVID-19 on women's domestic violence. So it should be somewhere. Otherwise, it's quite strange that all of a sudden on your first slide, we have to bump into the issue of COVID-19. So we needed some
okay.
explanation. And then your research methodology, I didn't get exactly what did you want to do? Is it going to be like, have you done questionnaire, or is it was just gathering the data which the references are missing, or was it based on the interview? Because I heard that when you were presenting, you did mention that you have done some interview with police officers, but on your slides, I couldn't find anything related to your research methodology.
Okay, my methodology is qualitative based, based on data, website, and primary materials. There is no survey like that. Just qualitative methods.
So these are the things that they are missing, and I think I need to discuss with Prof. Yusuf regarding this presentation, which I hope that in future you will consider the requirement of any conference that you enter, so to fulfill whatever they ask for. Because I was asked for my understanding, the research methodology is missing in your slides. There is no enough information regarding the background of the research. So the problem identifications, specific objectives, I couldn't see that. So when we do a research, we try our best as an academician to contribute and add information, add new information to other researchers. But for now, whatever we could see here, there are the information that we can easily find in all the websites and in all the NGOs that are doing women's rights. So if you want to contribute some first-hand information and data regarding your topic, which is a very, very sensitive and important title, my expectation is quite higher.
Okay, I understand.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Actually, I also need to is because I think there is a big issue in your topic, because if you say the word women's empowerment, you know, we are Muslims, and as a Muslim we have our own identity and belief that's extracted from the Quran. Yes, it's true that you said that women should be fairly treated, but does that mean women should have the same amount of work as men? Is it true that equality is the right approach, or equity? Because men are not like women, and if you say that women should have the same amount of work as a man, then I will tell you that you are contradicting with our belief, because there is a clear verse in the Quran. If you check Surah Al-Ahzab in 33, it says women should stay at their homes, and that is, Allah say that because that is the purer for them. So that not means a lot of work, but that is the nature of a woman. So we are not supposed to, in my belief, and I think that's the belief of the Quran, we are not supposed to look forward to empower the woman in terms of providing more jobs, making the woman getting more exposure to the world, rather than keeping her protected and take care of the kids and the houses, because taking care of the kids is not something, it's not something low. It is something very, it's a very high thing, but I don't know why nowadays look is something bad. Okay, so my question is, how do you address this verse in your research? If you think that yes, women should get a fair opportunity of job, because the verse clearly say women should stay at their homes, and that is the pure.
So, my dear, was that your question or you're giving comment to Ms. Ramawati?
That's because the presenter is a Muslim, so I'm asking, how did she address this verse into her research? How did you address this verse in research?
Okay, the first author is Associate Prof. Dr. Nazra. She is from Department of Quran Sunnah. I'm from Department of Law. My concern is more to law. Okay, but I will try. Okay. When I make research with my first author. Okay. We not say that we want fair same level with men. That is not what we want to say, but we want to say that women should have fair treatment, because like I said, from the report, women have more education than men in Malaysia, and also women join when women join to the economic sector, although women give her best performance, but for the okay, let I see. Okay.
That you said the way you
For the promotion, for the promotion, woman is not treated fairly. That is one I want to say. That's why we want to highlight here women's economic empowerment. Not we want to say women in the same level like men. That is not what we want to say.
What is the meaning of fairly treatment of a woman? What do you mean by that? Like, you want to get as much as the man gets?
Okay, my statement just now.
I guess she has already explained to you, my dear, that her statement is that having women's empowerment, economical empowerment, can help them to protect them from domestic violence. This is one of the recommendations that they put it in their title. So, but no offense, we are all Muslim and we are working outside and we take care of homes as well. So there is nothing against religion. The topic is quite interesting, but the thing is that I guess, unfortunately, you couldn't provide necessary information and supportive data on your slide. Maybe the slide and presentation shall be revised based on your research.
That's true. That's true what you said, but sorry to say, it is against the religion, because I asked a question right now and I did not get the answer.
Okay, maybe I will change my statement.
No. It's but at least the question that I asked should be answered. Question that I asked should be answered. There is.
I guess she has already answered your question. She mentioned that what they meant is that having women, because nowadays women are working in the society at the same time taking care of the house. So, but when it comes to the society, they are not getting that promotion, that they're delivering the same job in the society. So you know that Malaysia is an Islamic country as well. So thing is that they are delivering the same workload, but they are not getting enough promotion. This is her point. Once they are doing outside job and inside job, I mean inside the house, so they have the right to ask for same economical estate.
Did you understand the question that I asked?
Yes, I understand the question, but I cannot rebut the Quranic verse, and then I will ask my first authors to put the Quranic verse in the research in this study, and then how to explain it.
Okay, so thank you. Any more questions from the audience? Okay, I take it that there is no more questions. So, and I hope Miss Ramawati, you will take consideration regarding your research presentation for future studies.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so can we have our next presenter, please? Dr. Farah Adila.
Hello, Dr. Sharona. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening to Dr. Sharona and also all the presenter for today's session. The title of our group article is Environmental Conservation in Malaysian Local Government Issue and Recommendation. So this is my team member, Muhammad Ida Muhammad Yusof, Dr. Tuan Norani Tuan Ismail, Cik Nomaira Abdul Rahman, and Dr. Dewi Hasono are from University of Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Okay, so this is the table of content for my presentation. Okay, all right. So environmental protection refer to any action of preserving or restoring the quality of the environment by avoiding the pollutant emission. And environmental protection include any action designed to prevent any damage to the natural resources. And environmental deterioration have been identified, and then government have done a lot of initiative to restrict activity that can lead to environmental degradation. Hence, community involvement is very important to protect the biodiversity and also in maintaining the natural heritage. Okay, and community participation also are very important, especially for the sustainable development goals to be achieved. Okay. Okay, for problem statement, sustainable development strategies cannot be achieved without public support and also public awareness. Okay, and the emergence of environmental concern, for example, like landslide, flash flood, can jeopardize the future generation need. Okay, and a survey showed that Sarawakian want the government and the future leader to focus on environmental protection. It showed that the public are very concerned about environmental conservation. Okay, so the objective of this study is to identify the method of community participation practiced by the local government. Second is to explore the issue and also barrier in community participation. And lastly is to provide recommendation or strategies to enhance the community participation. Okay, so this is the research methodology. So this study is undergo qualitative method. Okay, 7 local government officers have been interviewed through online interview that is using Microsoft Teams. And then this study also employ multiple embedded case study because there are 3 local government that involved. And this study also use purposive sampling because we specifically choose this local government because of the activity that they have with community, and the data is being analyzed using in vivo and thematic analysis. Okay, and this is the research team and also sub-team. Actually, the research, the sub-team is generated based on the outcome of the interview. Okay, so after the interview, for research objective 1, we come up with 3 sub-team under community participation, and for research objective 2, we come up with 4 sub-team for the issue and barrier of community participation. Okay, so first is the community participation method in environmental conservation initiative. Okay, let me, this is just the example of the response by the local government officer. Let me just summarize what the outcome from this objective. Okay, so most of the respondents agree that the councillor, president of resident association, the head of the village, environmental NGO, and also Department of Environment play an essential role as a mediator between the community and also local government. Okay, so they represent, they can actually influence the community to engage more in the local government activities. Okay, second is 5 of the respondents stress that focus group discussion is very important, okay, before any environmental conservation initiative taken place. So you need to include the community in the planning first. Okay, so this is to give them awareness and also knowledge. And lastly is 3 of the local government officers stresses that survey must be also employed. This is to ensure that this is to get feedback from the community, and also this is also to measure how many people are supporting the idea of conservation. Okay, so these 3 are the main method used by these 3 local government. Okay, next objective is the issue and barrier to community participation in environmental conservation initiative. Okay, so all then stresses that the main hindrance of community participation is lack of interest. Okay, lack of interest, then it also stress on lack of motivation, and also lack of experience in conservation activities. Okay, second is lack of knowledge. Okay, when we have lack of knowledge regarding environmental conservation, means to say that we do not know how important is the environment, so it is also prevent us from participate. Okay, and lastly is on the last issue is the issue of lack of staff and also lack of finance on the part of the local government themselves. Okay, this is also a barrier to committee, is a barrier to the conservation initiative. Okay, because they want to do a lot of committee, a lot of environmental program, but lack of finance and lack of staff prevent them to do so. Okay, and the last objective is to recommend the most effective strategies for community participation in environmental conservation initiative. Okay, so because of the issue is lack of interest, lack of knowledge from the part of the community, So the best way is the usage of social media to spread the awareness, to spread the information on any environmental conservation strategies. Okay. Next is effective dissemination of any information regarding environmental conservation. Okay, so based on the marketing strategies, okay, when we want to influence certain audience, we need to know, okay, because there are differences in terms of generation, in terms of age, gender. So we need to also focus on that. Okay, for example, like using Twitter, maybe for some generation might use Twitter to gain some information. Okay, so we must know how to use a proper channel or proper effective strategy in promoting the environmental strategies. Okay, and lastly is there must be a discussion and consultation with the community, because the community, when it comes to participation, community will sacrifice in terms of their time and even their money. Okay, so in order for us to encourage them to participate in any conservation activity, we need to have a good relationship with them. Okay, so if we do not involve them in any program or in any planning, so this is also can prevent them from joining. Okay, so there is a need discussion and consultation with the committee. Okay, so what is the best approach or best method to conserve the environment? Okay, okay, so for the conclusion, okay, from I can what I can conclude in this study is, okay,
COVID-19 pandemic is a virus zoonotic infection in mammals.
okay,
and it has shown
okay, from what I can conclude, the lack of system can affect environmental conservation strategies. Okay, and the position of mediator between community and local government is very important. This is to influence them to participate in environmental conservation activity, and it's also important to consult with community before any planning or any program taken place. And also we cannot also ignore the issue of lack of interest in terms of environmental conservation, and also the issue of funding and staffing might impact the initiative of environmental conservation. Okay, and then what we can recommend is the use of social media and between local government, okay, to ensure that they will participate in local government activity, because local government lack of staff and also lack of fund. So in order to solve this problem, we need the community to participate more. But first, we have to have a good relationship with them. Okay, and there must be a discussion with the community. Community actually participate in any discussion because they are resident in that particular area, and then they think it is very important to have a good relationship with local government, because some of the issue might they need local government help. Okay, and in the future, a more comprehensive study must be done involving a lot of local government. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for your presentation.
Welcome, Dr.
As before, I enjoyed your presentation. So, my dear, I just want to check with the audience first if there is any question from the floor. Any question from the audience? Okay, so your presentation was very clear.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome. I like your taste of graphic. So I got the information that I wanted to have, but the only thing it's missing, it's very clear objective and aim of your research, which I guess you forgot to put.
Oh, sorry, Doctor. Yes, yes, I forget to put.
Yeah, that one is missing. I know that when you were presenting, you have mentioned regarding the objective, but it's missing in your slide. I guess you forgot to put. And one more thing is that in your problem statement, you mentioned a survey shows that Slovakians want to incoming as you have this information based on Sarawak, right?
Yes.
So, but if I don't mistaken, Shah Alam was one of the pioneer point in Malaysia that they were into environmental protection as well. So maybe you could point not only for Sarawak, the other parts of Malaysia that they are quite avant-garde in environmental protection as well. It's quite noisy. I don't know where is it, the noise coming from. So my only comment, I enjoyed your presentation as always. My only comment to you was coming up with more detailed information regarding places like Shah Alam that I know that they were pioneer in environmental protection as well.
I agree, Doctor. I agree. Yes.
Yeah, and then don't forget to put your objective, because your objective I could get it from your presentation and problem identification, which is sad that we couldn't see it in your slides. Same as literature review.
Oh, yes.
Previous presenter was the same things. I know that the information that you gather, it's all taken from your literature review, but which is missing here.
Yes, Doctor.
All right, so good job.
Thank you, Doctor.
Important topic and good presentation.
There's no relation was found between the donation.
So if there is no more question, I guess we can proceed with our next presenter.
Thank you, Dr.
Anything you want to add? You're welcome.
No, Doctor. I will take your point into my article.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Good luck. You're welcome.
Okay.
So, conference crew, can we have our next presenter, please?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. Dr. Sharina from Iran and also my fellow friends. My name is Muhammad Idham Yusuf, together with my co-author Dr. Farah Adil Abdul Rahman, Dr. Tuan Nuriani Tuan Ismail from Universiti Teknologi MARA, and also with our industry partner, Ms. Numaira Abdul Rahman, and together with our international partner from the Department of Public Administration, Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universiti Erlangga, Indonesia. We would like to present our research papers entitled SDG 17 in Environmental Conservation Activities at Malaysian Local Government. Environmental conservation and environmental sustainability has always been a discussion among academicians and scholars. It is one way to reach the sustainable development. Environmental sustainability, apart from social sustainability and also economic sustainability, will create what we call sustainable development. And in protecting the environment in Malaysian context, each government institution and environmental aspect, apart from economic and also social sustainability, will create what we call sustainable development. And within the context of Malaysia, environmental sustainability has been a collective measures and commitment from the governments, and it has been commitment from the federal government, at the state government, and also at local government, which has been included at various development plans. For example, the pictures here shows that the new economic policy, the Malaysian 5 Years Development Plan, is among the major policy that the government has been focusing so in the issues of environmental sustainability. And with the current view and the current commitment towards sustainable development goals, the government has produced 2 reports, voluntary national reports in 2017 and 2021, which being included also in the report on the environmental concerns and efforts and initiatives that the government has committed on. And by looking into the local government in which this paper is focusing on, a few local government has successfully producing voluntary local review in their SDG progression and achievement by also focusing on the environmental commitment and environmental progressions. So in Malaysia, our local government has been entrusted with the environmental conservation activities and commitment, and we are focusing on 2 main global sustainability agenda. The local agenda 21 or LE21, which has been introduced a decade ago, and also in sustainable development goals, which are the which span from 2015 to 2030. So this LE21 and SDG has been put into the commitment of the local government towards environmental preservation and conservation. So globally, only few studies has been focusing within the context of SDG and local government commitment to the environment, because most of the literature will be discussing on the sustainability context as general terms. However, they're not focusing more into SDG context, meaning to say that SDG related to environment, that is SDG 12, 13, 14, and 15, were yet or there are limited studies within this context. However, in Malaysia context, only few studies, especially from Rahman and Yusuf, who integrating the SDG community participation and also trust within the SDG related activities. So the aim of this study is to, number one, identify the different forms of environmental conservation activities conducted at the local government level by focusing on the SDG related programs that relevant within the context of environment, that is SDG 12, 13, 14, 15. And also to assess different types of partnership and stakeholder groups which being involved in environmental conservation activities that conducted at the local government level in Malaysia by focusing on SDG 17, that is partnership for the goals. So the methodology for this group, for this study will be, this is a qualitative study. We are focusing on 3 categories of local government, that is city council, municipal council, and also district council. So we choose purposefully 3 levels, 3 different categories of local governments in Malaysia for us to explore their SDG related programs related to environment conservation. And we interviewed 8 informants that are local government officers who are responsible for SDG related programs, and we try to explore their environmental conservation activities which are relevant to the SDG. So these 8 informants are purposely invited, and they are agreed and willingly to be involved in the study. So we employed in-depth interviews, and the question were guided by these sets of questions, interview questions. During the pandemic, we conduct through online, and during the endemic, we conduct a face-to-face interview. So we record the interview, we transcribe the interview verbatim, and then we follow all the ethics concern with the consent form. So due to the ethic concern, we have to remain anonymous on the name of the informants and also the name of the local government. So we transcribe the interview verbatim, and then we analyze using NVivo through decoding, categorizing, and thematizing of the information. So for the result discussion, for the first research objective, that is to identify the different forms of environmental conservation activities conducted at the local government levels. So we identified that there are 3 major themes or 3 major activities of environmental conservation activities that being conducted at these 3 local governments, which are similarly being conducted. Number one, they are focusing on sustainable waste management. This include on the e-waste campaign, the 3R campaign, that is reduce, recycle, and also reduce, recycle, and reuse. And then most of the frequent activities related to sustainable waste management would be the cleaning up programs or gotong royong, and then they also conducting No Plastic Day and Cash for Trash. And then all the 3 local government also focusing on low carbon reduction. So they are promoting the low carbon city concept by promoting the car-free zone and the sustainable community garden and tree planting activities. And then the third concept or the third similar projects related to environmental activities in this local government are education for sustainable development, and all three local government are having a strategic planning and blueprint related to environmental sustainability. And from the interview, it can be identified that climate actions is less being focused, less focus being given on the climate actions among these three local government. Only like local government at the category of city council has started on the climate actions, right? And then this study also identified that even though the most frequent activities are clean up program, or what in Malay we call is gotong royong, however, all the three local government facing a similar problems that clean up programs among the community has gained less popularity, less involvement, and less participation from the community. This is something that needs to be pondered at the community level. It seems that the neighborhood spirits or the camaraderie among the community in Malaysia related to clean up programs of gotong royong has been reduced or unable to attract the community participation. This is because they think, maybe the community think that the responsibility to clean up the area and the vicinity would be under the responsibility of the local government. And all the local government has received funding from the state government in conducting the SDG related activities related to the environment. The second research objective is to assess the different types of partnership and stakeholder group involved in the environmental conservation activities at this local government. So this study has identified that there are two categories of stakeholders that be involved in the environmental conservation activities in this local government. The first category would be external stakeholders, and the second category would be the internal stakeholders. For the external stakeholders, almost all the local government has collaborated and partnership with the international organization, with the three levels of the government, that is federal government, state governments, and their agencies, and also with other local governments in their environmental activities. They have collaborate with the private sectors, academic institutions, NGOs, and the communities and their leaders. These are being considered as the most important external stakeholders in these activities. However, when it comes into international organizations, only local government that coming from the city council and municipal councils has a clear or active exposure and collaboration with international organizations such as United Nations agencies. For district council, the exposure with the international organizations on SDG and environmental activities, especially at the international level, it seems that they are lacking of capacity. Therefore, more exposure needs to be given to the district council level of local government. Private sector is very important for local government because it serves as a funders and sponsors. Local government is having a problems with the fundings and expertise when it comes into SDG and environmental conservation activities. And private sectors comes in as the funders and the sponsorship. And this study identified that to attract more participation from the community, local government have to offer rewards and some kind of tokens or some kinds of awards, so that from that actions of giving more awards, rewards, and also tokens of appreciation to the participation, such as foods and presents, so it has successfully able to attract more participation in the environmental conservation. It seems that participation from the community will be more positive and active if we give reward to them to involve in our environmental conservation activities. Academic institution mostly will be coming from schools and university. This is very important because younger generation need to be exposed with the environmental activities. This study has identified that almost all the local government has collaborated with the schools and universities and the younger generation in their activities. NGOs as a check and balance in environmental activities, they are very important because they are the one who also improving the policy related to environment, and they try to raise many issues related to environment at this respective local government. Community and their leaders, local government has said that it is depending on the activeness of the association of the community and activeness of the leadership. So I mean to say that there has been different levels of participation from these external stakeholders. It's all depending on how active these stakeholders are in involving with the environmental conservation activities at these three local governments. For the internal stakeholders, we identified that all the stakeholders in the environmental conservation activities in these three local governments are all staff at local government, and all departments in the local government itself. They agree that SDG related to environment is cross-department. All departments share the similar responsibility. This study also identified that there has been a different SDG governance system at these three local government. So it depends on the local government. Local government are being given autonomy and empowered with decision on how the SDG related to environment should be carried out on how the structure. So it seems, it was proven that from this study that it depends on the leadership of the local government, and also it depends on how active if the local councillors that being appointed at these respective local governments to influence their localities and to influence the community to actively participate at the environmental conservation activities at these 3 local government. And staff which is having a good knowledge on SDG and being active and proactive in environmental conservation activities, they are very important in making sure that environmental conservation activities are being continuously activated at their respective area. So we are providing with this illustration to summarize our findings. So from our findings, we come up with this illustration. This sketches shows that this is the ideal city or the ideal urban context when it comes into SDG related programs related to environment. Meaning to say that the city hall need to focusing on the green technology, low carbon technology, using the natural resources and promoting the low carbon city. Almost all of them promoting the community garden. Community are being empowered to have their own garden, edible garden, so that they can generate incomes, focusing on zero waste, tree planting, the 3R programs, and also school campaigns on tree plantings and environment. So this directly has fulfilled 6 SDG on SDG 4 education, SDG 7 on affordable and clean energy, SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, SDG 12 on responsible consumption, SDG 13 on climate action, and SDG 16 on inclusiveness, because all the activities of environmental conservation was being found out that they already include all categories of community, younger, older, all NGOs and all the stakeholders. And we come up with this framework. So we identified that 3 of the SDG related programs related to environment involving 3 types, that is initiative and programs introduced by the local government, programs initiated by the community, and programs introduced by the third parties or NGOs. And all these programs requires this strategy. Mean to say that to actively participate the community, local government through these programs, they provide training and skill development related to green activities, and then they engage with all the multi-stakeholders through the partnership, and the local government offer fundings and rewards to the community every time they actively or participate in environmental activities. And the outcome, they successfully sustain the environmental conservation program. For example, the e-waste program, the 3R program, the community garden programs, the sustainable waste management program. It has attracts community empowerment and improve the community economy. So mean to say that rather than focusing on cleaning up projects, the community more prefer on program on environment such as community gardens and also e-waste and also 3R and waste management, because they can generate income from that activities. So the key point would be environmental conservation activities in local government in Malaysia motivated by 3 actions from local government, community actions, and also from the NGOs. And we identified that still the environmental programs in Malaysia local government still top down rather than bottom up, meaning to say that it still need local government to initiate it. Very less local participations where community start and initiate their own activities. Mean to say that community in Malaysia still require helps and assistance from the top down to say local government plannings. And then broader partnership exists at the environmental conservation in these local governments, and it provides more meaningful engagement by including all multi-stakeholders related to the SDGs. And the 3 most evident environmental programs in Malaysia local government are sustainable waste management, low carbon reduction, and cleaning up activities. So as a conclusion, it is very important for us to have inclusivity in our environmental governance mechanisms. And this study also identified that the policy at the state government is very important to activate the environmental conservation activities at these respective local governments or at the local government level, because it was found out that most active local government with environmental policy would be local government which is having and following a good policy, a good environmental policy from the state government. If the state government have a very clear policy on environment, then most of their local government will follow that particular policy. However, for the local government by which their state government are not active in terms of environmental policy, they need to start their own initiatives. And the limitation for this study is only confined to 3 local government in Peninsular Malaysia. So the findings cannot be generalized to describe the whole findings for the Malaysia. However, for the future studies, it was recommended to include local government at the different regions of Malaysia, including in Sabah and Sarawak. And comparative analysis also can be further analyzed on the leadership and community factors for them to engage actively at the environmental activities. And this study is to support the future research that related to sustainable cities and communities in the context of urban studies. And I would like to express our gratitude for this study, to the study informants and for my students for sketching the illustrations in this study. And also this study was funded by the FSPPP Internal Research Grant. With that, I thank you.
All right. So thank you. Any question from the audience, please? Mr. Yusuf?
Yes, Doctor.
Congratulations on your good research and presentation.
Thank you, Doctor.
So that was a very interesting topic and very necessary topic recently. That was very clear. Your slides and your presentation covers everything. The only thing that is missing in your slide, not in your presentation, is literature review.
Yes.
Why such a good presentation shall have this little mistake which deduct your mark, that you forgot to put in literature review, summary of literature review in your slides.
Yeah.
Which I'm 100% sure that you had it. So everything is clear. I don't want to give any comment. I just want to ask your own opinion regarding something. When it comes to SDG 17, you know that you have explained that recently in Malaysia, it's very based on local government, right?
Sorry, Doctor, I cannot.
Government instruction.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So you just explained that in Malaysia, when it comes into SDG 17, it goes to local government agencies first. And your recommendation was NGOs and others. And you know that in Western countries, the private sector and NGOs are highly active in SDG 17. So I just need your own opinion regarding something which is a question from myself. I know at least 3 private agents, they are not NGOs, they're private companies, settled in Europe, they are very expert in SDG 17 and then working on environmental conservation. When it comes to Asia, they aim.
Sorry, Doctor, you mute.
Instead of Malaysia. So do you have any idea why they do not aim to join Malaysia, or they don't want to get into Malaysian market for SDG 17 environmental conservation?
Why the NGO at the region is not entering into Malaysia SDG efforts? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I know 3 companies that they are very expert in SDGs. I mean, they're in environmental conservation in Europe, and they are connected. They are somehow my partners doing some works together. But when it comes to Asia, they all prefer to set up a branch in Singapore. Instead of Malaysia. So as an expert in this research area, I want to know your opinion. Why we couldn't provide the necessary item for them that they can have this interest to come to Malaysia and have their own branch there? Why they are all aiming to go to Singapore?
I think because maybe Singapore has hold a specific reputation when it comes into sustainability, sustainable development, and also hold a good record in terms of a good environment for the private sectors and for the NGOs as well. I'm not saying that Malaysia is not providing that. However, maybe in Malaysia, the voice of the NGOs or consultants related to sustainability is less being heard. They need to have an extra efforts before the government listening more. And in fact, when it comes into SDG implementation in Malaysia, we just started the SDG localization like last 2 years or 2 years or 1 year, and due to the political changes of the ministry and others, it seems that SDG localizations has not been actively is not being actively recharged again until now. So when it comes into NGO, we see that NGOs is more active at the local government. It seems that they are more approachable to the local government, rather than at the federal or state level government, because maybe there are certain of bureaucracy or even at the ministerial level, they might choose only selected NGOs which may be more favorable to the policymakers so that they can be involved at the SDG implementation. However, at my knowledge, that a United Nations country team, UNDP, and also a few other United Nations agencies, which are also have a branch in Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia also, they are also helping the government in terms of SDG localization and SDG implementation also in Malaysia. But comparing to our other countries such as Thailand, Philippines, and Indonesia, I can say that more SDG activities are more visible at the Indonesia, especially at the local levels, and more publication related to SDG, related to education on SDG, environment on SDG, and also local community, local government, and community involvement in SDG at local level. Most of the literature and publication is also mostly in Indonesia, because in Indonesia they have a very specific rules, presidential rules and presidential decree on SDG. However, in Malaysia we don't have any specific policy on SDG. The policy are being intrinsically or implicitly being included at the Malaysia Development Plan, so it's being aligned in that kind of thing. So we don't have any specific. And with the current new governments under the new Prime Minister, they already launched on SDG fundings to have activities in both private and public sectors to achieve a certain SDG, which cannot be reached by the public sector.
All right. So as far as I feel, Malaysia is my second home, so I would love to help if it's possible. So in this case, you just drop me an email. You can get my email from the ABRA website, and I will connect you to one of these private sectors that they are looking for partners in Asia. Maybe you can change their mind. Instead of Singapore, they can come into Malaysia, right? So that was interesting, and thanks for your presentation. I'll have no more.
Okay, hi, assalamualaikum, and a very good evening, everyone. So yeah, can you hear me? All right, good evening. All right. Okay, so today as we learn on the ability of PVC mesh as recycled textile waste towards innovative tropical building facade. And together with me in this research is Muhammad Zafran Mazdi, and my co-presenter all the way from Philippines is Ana Paula de los Santos Ilagan. Can we hear something from you?
Hello, sir. Hello, Dr. Sharona.
All right. And I'm from ITM with Muhammad Zafran Mazdi, and from College of Engineering, Architecture and Technology, University of Perpetual Health System Delta, Philippines. So I'll be handing over to my co-presenter for the introduction of this research. Right.
So for the background. So for the background of this study, textile waste is a significant problem in Malaysia, which according to studies, textile waste is the second contributor of pollution to the environment after oil. So for the fashion industry in Malaysia, they tried to mend this problem by recycling and repurposing of post-consumer trash, which H&M has done in 2013. So as the product from textile waste, we can use it and serve it as a practice by implementing textile facade as it possesses potential to architecture as it offers many benefits such as its free-form usage, lightweight materials, ease of maintenance, low cost, and low lasting. So for the aim of this study is to establish the use of PVC mesh textile waste as an innovative material for the use of textile facades for buildings in Malaysia. And the objectives of the research are to study the use of facade and how it responds to the tropical climate, to identify the properties and specification of textile facade, and to analyze the best form of textile facade that can be used for buildings in Malaysia. And for the literature review, so according to Picardo et al. 2018, so recycling is a great solution to lessen the effects of textile waste to the environment, which as you can see on the figure 2, this is how other textile companies try to process recycling textile waste, which can be applied to the facades as it helps the structure last longer. So building facades the building facades plays a vital part as it supports the external features of the structure, and it provides functionality and protection to such climatic conditions such as and the benefits of the building facade is it plays a pivotal role in energy efficiency, shield against natural threats, allows natural ventilation, and it provides acoustic insulation. And so basically, textile facades can be used as a shading device, thermal insulation, and light permeability all throughout the day, as it also provides aesthetics to the overall structure, and it is economical. So the most extensively utilized membrane materials are coated materials such as glass, fiber coated, PTFE, ETFE, and polyester coated PVC.
All right, for this research, the methodology that we employ in this research are the journal articles we review, and all of these things are being tabulated into synthesis metric analysis to provide the clear idea of how to according to each aspect as the best form of textile facade to be used in Malaysian climate. And the three factors that we analyze when choosing the best form of textile facade responding to tropical climates are the material durability, light transmittance, and cost efficiency. And for the light durability, there are three other components that we also analyze in this research, right? Okay, so for the findings, we compare between the three different material. We comparison with our main studies, we see the other two, which is the PTFE and ETFE, are the most widely used fabric materials in construction in comparison with the PVC mesh textile, which is the new innovative materials that can be employed in our tropical climate of Malaysia. So all of these three employs have the same fire resistant properties. It has equally weather resistant characteristic. All right. So we can see from the PTFE, we can see that the things that are not being covered is the cracking resistance and the light transmittance. And for the ETFE, it covers mostly on the light transmittance, load bearing, existing resistance and durability, except mechanical strength and the cost efficiency. While for the PVC match, it covers mostly on the cost efficiency, mechanical strength, cracking resistance, durability, and the load bearing. All right, for discussion, the selection of the best material for the textile building facade in Malaysia is evaluated by each material's performance, which is the strength, durability, lightweight, aesthetic, cost efficiency, and the maintenance. when we compare between these three materials, the PVC mesh has the most advantage in terms of its aesthetic value, and for flexibility per se, PVC mesh is suitable because its pliable nature and the softness of the material is able to take form of the frame and the structure that can enhance the shape of the building in Malaysia. In addition, the cost of the maintenance and durability of this material is viewed as economical with a life expectancy of roughly 15 to 20 years. For instance, it is reasonable for both short span and long span structures, besides providing an ideal solution for infrastructure. So for conclusion, the study is primarily on the textile waste as innovative material for building facade due to its immense potential that can be explored in combating the issues surrounding the excessive textile waste globally and locally, especially in Malaysia. The literature review covers the aspect of the building facade and responses to the Malaysian tropical climate. The content analysis provides a systematic observation to understand better, thus provide a qualitative better understanding of the qualities of the chosen study materials, namely PTFE, ETFE, and PVC mesh textile facade. And the data gathered on each specific study are combined into the table to facilitate systemic comparative analysis. So for recommendation, based on the analysis, we can say that the PVC mesh is the best material that suits the tropical climates because the performance matches the other two common textile facade that is being ETFE and the ETFE, but it matches in terms of those two are not recyclable, but this one PVC mesh is just recyclable textile facade, so it matches in some ways because of its fluid nature and the flexible soft material properties when installed into frame and structure, and it covers all the aspects in balance, where PVC textile mesh is the most viable to be used as a textile facade in a tropical setting.
So thank you.
So the questions.
No, since we have lack of time and I'm supposed to cut the Q&A session, I just want to congratulate you for your good research and presentation. That was very interesting. So I'm fine. We can't have any question from the audience. And that was a very good job.
Thank you.
You've done a good job. So next presenter, please.
Okay. Right. Sorry for that. You know, initially a few weeks back, we were supposed to submit our final version of the PowerPoint or the PDF, but apparently today we were supposed to present the paper. The slides missing. So this taken some time from each participant. So please apologize for that delay. I'd like to introduce myself and the paper. My name is Yusfida Ayu Abdullah, and my team consists of another 3 members. Novaizura Jamaluddin, also from UiTM Puncak Alam. In fact, she's doing her PhD now. Hamiza Yaakob is a staff in UiTM Puncak Alam, and Yu Wang is a staff in Tianjin University of China. So basically, this paper is to convey a study, the first part of the study on interrelation of transit-oriented development with land use, or TOD with land use. So the paper is actually to present the first part of our study. We are trying to look at the relationship of the land use and how it links with TOD, and what is the impact of having ad hoc planning of land use or not using that appropriate criteria for transit-oriented development. So
You can scroll down.
no, it's not moving. Oh yeah, it's moving. Okay. So initially we discovered that there are some issue in relation to TOD and land use planning. We understood that land use requires that connection with TOD, or the TOD should be considering its design and its with land use. Because it has to be integrated, it cannot be designed in isolation and cannot be disintegrated between the two. And TOD can be functional, or the rail-based transit can be functional for the end user if it were to be designed in relation to the land use in terms of the distance, the comfort aspect, the safety aspect, the walkability, accessibility, connectivity, but we don't see that in total in from our preliminary study. So to have that function, TOD can actually encourage people, right? The public transport using it. So TOD, but other issue that we discovered earlier was that TOD increases the land value. When any place were to design or to have the TOD, it will inevitably increase the land value around the area. So that's another issue. The other issue, the early issue that we discovered was the connection between land use and TOD. When they were designing TOD, a separate decision were made, and apparently that decision does not integrate together with land use planning. So therefore, this had resulted in effective optimization of land uses. Also, we discovered that by having that of for land use, and that land use restriction can also deter the compactness, the comfort, and the walkability element for rail-based transit. So those are the early issues that we discovered, and we wanted more of this. So we were studying the significance of TOD, and we understood that the transportation system and land use planning needs to be more practical, functional, able to accommodate user and encourage the sport. And therefore, it could possibly meet the sustainable development goals and strategies in development plans at local level. So from there, we were aiming to investigate the interrelationship of transit-oriented development and land use planning. And to achieve that, we had outlined our objective that we wanted to examine the concepts and review the criteria of land use for the efficacy of TOD. The point that we wanted to understand the criteria and the features of TOD, therefore we could establish the variables or indicators that we could pursue to further our study when we are carrying out the second part of our research, that is to conduct the case study investigation. So everybody knows about TOD. Just to recap what you have learned before, that TOD is actually a land solution that focuses on the accessibility by encouraging compact, high density and mixed use development within an easy walk of a transit station. And the typical TOD, as defined by the Malaysian government, the Department Department of Town and Regional Planning, this was outlined that an ideal distance from one place to another to a transit station would be 400 meters or 800 meters to suit the climate in Malaysia, the local climate of Malaysia, or it should be 5 to 10 minutes of walk. So the purpose of having TOD itself is to organize the development around the transit station or the transit center of life, meaning to say that this transit station can become a magnet that can infuse the interaction of the people, the social life of the people, or the activities. And the integration between the land use and the planning are able to promote healthier and more prosperous cities. So I do not want to read this table, but I just want to give you an idea that the recent articles by several scholars, I did not list out all. A lot of scholars that have written on TOD and land use, and what they have highlighted are the same characteristic of TOD which relates to land use. And so most of the scholars have highlighted that it should maximize the land use, it should provide that ridership and that density that it promotes and should consider the design of the TOD. And most importantly, that most scholars highlighted the element of walkability, accessibility, and availability. So those are the important things that we discovered from our literature review. However, to conduct that literature review, we were to have a very detailed approach or a very systematic process of getting to that point where we really scrutinize all the literature and early understanding that this study was conducted through mainly through a qualitative approach, that we were looking at all the articles and papers that writes on transit-oriented planning. So to really scrutinize or skim through all the articles, that we were looking that really we had to look at 1021 articles that really mentioned the word transit-oriented planning, and these articles are the index article, and thereafter we had screened down and reduced to the specific keyword like TOD and land use, because we wanted to look at that relationship between TOD and land use. So we and from that 1021 article, we came out with 440 that really mentioned the word TOD and land use. And from there, we use another keyword, land use planning with TOD. And thereafter, we had really reduced up to 73 articles. And thereafter, we use the word criteria, that very important thing that we wanted to look at for our study, the criteria of TOD, and 27 article that really relates to the topic. Now, from that 27 article, we managed to really study in detail those criteria that are constantly or repetitively being mentioned by the 27 article or the scholars. So these are the findings, and is to inform you the interrelation between land use and transit-oriented development, that these 27 scholars mentioned that the dissemination of the land use influence the concentration of development in or around a transit station, and the integration of land use with TOD aims to achieve sustainability and solve transportation issue. Also, that land use can be changed to fit the TOD both are linked together coherently. And those first finding are actually focused on the interrelationship of land use and TOD. And the other finding is to highlight the ideal criteria of land use for TOD discovered from that 27 article that focuses on criteria. So the and the same criteria that we mentioned over and over again are these three: mixed use and diverse of land activity. Meaning to say that when we are designing that TOD in connection to the land use planning, that land use planning must consider the mixed use development that takes into account all kind of activity that the human normally like working, recreational activity, living, and playing, shopping. So this kind of mixed use and diverse of land activity will ensure that the people living at the area can actually easily commute or access to their workplace or to the to go and do their grocery or shopping. So preferably that area would be at walking distance from one spot to another. And these are the most repetitive criteria that been repetitively mentioned by all the scholars. The other criteria that we discovered was the compactness and density. So it was suggested by the 27 articles that the design of land use planning should consider having to design the area to have it in a sense of compactness where every activity and building are concentrated at one area and they are not being staggered, planned or placed far or set apart from one to another. And it does actually promote the density whereby TOD is to have it where the planning or the land use has high density. The other criteria was accessibility and walkability. So these two are actually the most important aspect when designing TOD and connecting to land use planning. So finding number one, we tried to map out that interrelationship. So if you can see, I'm just going to mention from there because we are running out of time. So the part of the interrelationship between the two, TOD and land use, is to solve urban development issue, to have that mixed use development, and to encourage the use of public transport, and that to consider the urban form. And I'm going to move on to my other slide, the finding number 2. So these are the ideal land use criteria that we discovered. As I mentioned earlier, the type of land use and the diverse uses, the compactness and density of that land use, accessibility, connectivity, walkability, and proximity. So these three important criteria were discovered from all those 27 articles that really talks about land use and TOD. So in conclusion, everyone, we've discovered that three primary characteristics of land use planning. I did not elaborate on this, but this was part of our study, that the coordination between between the local and the state government is very important because we cannot make decision on land use planning in isolation. And I mentioned this earlier, that it has to be integrated even at local context and looking at a bigger perspective. So if to think of having to promote new TOD, so we need to consider that connection at a bigger perspective, even at regional scale. So there has to be that coordination. And the other point is that we want to highlight that TOD should not be developed in isolation, but be integrated with land use development. I think that's all for now. I have the details in my paper. You can email me at my email address if there's any other question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much
for that. For allowing me. Yes, Dr. Ghorbani.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation. Since we have not enough time, so we deduct a Q&A session. And once again, I just wanted to thank Prof. Yusuf and the conference crew for all the effort that they have done, and all the dear presenters. Wish you all the best in your research.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Send my regards to everyone, and I wish I could be there.
Will do, will do. It's nice to see you online. I've seen you several times in FSPU before. It's nice to see you.
Yeah, I know. I remember you. So thank you. That was nice to meet you online, and I hope one day one of the conferences I will be there and sharing face to face. Send my regards to everyone.
Will do. If I see Prof. Sabarina, I'll send your regards as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, my dear. So anything else that I can do, or can we finish the conference? I know that you have dinner barbecue.
The class not here, but I think AMER knows what to do. AMER?
All right, so just send my regards to Prof. Yusuf and enjoy your dinner.
Maybe on behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to thank you, Dr. Sharona Ghorbani, for your time and your patience. You're very patient with all the glitches that we had faced. And we are very pleased to have you this evening.
Thank you,
yeah, we know you're busy.
That was my pleasure. So all right, so goodbye.
Bye now. Assalamualaikum.
Bye. Bye.